everybody, and welcome to this episode of Discussing Digital. Today, I'm discussing digital marketing with Miles Phillips of MilesMarketing. Miles, would you like to introduce yourself and give a little bit of an overview of your business to start with?
Of course I will. Thank you so much, Rob. Pleasure to be here discussing digital. So MilesMarketing is a small boutique agency. I've had a long career, what I describe it as is that I was doing marketing before digital was even a thing, right? Before the internet, before social media. So what I bring to the party is a nice blend of traditional marketing techniques and the new age digital stuff also. I focus on two main parts. I've got an outsourced marketing department function where I do slightly larger businesses marketing for them. And I also have a suite of products called Bite Size. Now, as the name would suggest, these are small in terms of the time it takes to implement and small in terms of the amount that they cost. The 90-minute marketing plan is an example of this. In just an hour and a half, we can sit down and pull together a marketing plan that you can handle as a solopreneur. So, that's my business in a nutshell. I really enjoy digital marketing. I'm going to say strong opinions on certain things.
Good.
But I like to think that I've got a sensible approach, Rob.
Yeah, no, excellent. So obviously we're going to talk a little bit about how you use digital marketing in a minute. I think we'll start there. But also, obviously, as you said, digital marketing is part of your product set that you help promote for other businesses as well. And that's where I think some of your strong opinions on what works and what doesn't and things like that are going to come into it. So just because obviously I asked you to let me know where you are, and it's quite interesting. You've got quite a focused set of marketing. You've got a really well constructed, very clear website. You've got your LinkedIn profile and details there, and you're on YouTube, but you're not anywhere else, or you're not anywhere else that you've told me about, which is
Don't go looking on the dark web for me, Rob. You won't like what you find. Personally, I do have an Instagram account. I bore the world with strongman activity, right? So if you're into strongmen, then you can find me under miles.stronger. But for my business, and I think this is true for most one-person bands, small companies, and small as in maybe one or two employees. It's about what you can handle, right? Because it's one thing to promote your own company, and it's another thing to do the work that you need to do for other companies, right?
Yep.
So my target is other businesses, and they are predominantly on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So that is where I spend my time. Now, that's not to say, and I can almost hear people now saying, oh, yeah, but I'm a business owner. I'm on Instagram. I get it, right? But I'm having to prioritize my time and be as focused as possible. Undoubtedly, all of my customers touch Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat even, right? All of the above. However, I've chosen LinkedIn as to that's where they spend the most time, and that's where I can share the most value about my offering. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really sensible strategy. That most businesses should, focus in one place where you're most likely to be.
And look, as your business builds, or maybe as you bring more people on board, then expanding to different places is a great thing, right? You then got the momentum going. I mean, you mentioned YouTube. Again, I've got about 3.5 subscribers on YouTube. And I don't put any effort into advertising it and promoting it. I use YouTube for one function and one function only, and that's to host the videos that I then post on my website, because Google owns YouTube, and you get extra little brownie points for your SEO by having a YouTube channel and linking those videos back to your website. So that's the rationale behind that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's again makes perfect sense. As you say, the two are owned by Google or Alphabet, isn't it? Is the overarching company these days. And yes, it does have SEO links, and also there's that whole benefit of it's optimized for video streaming, whereas most people's websites aren't. So yeah,
It is, and we can perhaps go into that deep rabbit hole. I do go live on LinkedIn every now and again, and I use it's called Restream. It's a streaming software, and I link that to my YouTube page. And in essence, what happens is that the live feed goes to my YouTube, and you can watch that live on YouTube. But then it feeds back and populates a section on my website. So again, it's updating my website with fresh content without having to sort of touch it or do anything to it.
yeah, yeah,
There's one other point that I would just remind the viewers about YouTube. YouTube is one of the biggest search engines that there is out there. So if you want to become visible on another large platform, then having a YouTube account is important, and filling in all your details as accurately as possible with all your keywords is also important.
yeah, yeah. And the interesting thing I often find when you talk to people about setting up YouTube, they go, "But that means video." And does that mean I've got to be in front of the camera, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to say, for the most part, why not? Right? What's the worst that could happen? But I do appreciate that a lot of people aren't comfortable in front of the camera. So you could use stills, you could use animation, you could use a presenter, you could use AI. I mean, there's some fantastic AI tools out there now where you can take multiple photos of your face and you type what it says, and I mean, it's not quite sort of Tom Cruise deep fake, but it's getting pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing is what we're doing now, right? Because this is actually a Zoom call, and because of lockdown and what's happened over the last few years, most people are kind of used to being in virtual meetings. Most entrepreneurs are used to being in virtual meetings. So
Yeah,
it's another way of achieving production of
I,
video. And hey, this turns into an audio podcast as well.
yeah. I think Rob, the issue, and I get reminded by my partner on a regular basis that I'm really quite comfortable talking bollocks, right? Um, and you're I would say that you're an extrovert as well, and you're comfortable in front of the camera. Not everybody is.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can imagine a lot of anxiety being built up. But look, what tips would I give to someone who's nervous in front of the camera? Preparation is definitely key, right?
Yep.
Make sure you write out what you want to say. Make sure that you think about it in terms of telling a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And make sure that you practice it. Practice it in front of the mirror. And, look, I think there's a presenter in everybody, and stepping yourself out of your comfort zone every now and again is quite good for you. But what's the worst that could happen? You don't like it, and then you don't post it, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing is talking about sort of presenting and things like that is we're so used to watching TV where you have trained presenters who can speak without putting the dreaded ums and ers in and things like that. There you go. She's still on naturally then. I've watched my videos back and they're full of ums and ers. And I think you just have to accept that for the majority of people, that is how we communicate. We use those little ums and ers to fill in those little spaces, and it's
100,
part of natural speech.
What 100%, and I think what's important to remember with this is that people buy from people, right?
Yeah.
You might think you've got a great brand, but ultimately people are buying from you. Look, here's another tip when you come to recording your videos and you think about your ums and your ers. Don't stop the recording. So set the recording up, get it rolling, and just start talking to the camera. And if you mess up, then brush yourself down, take a little bit of a pause, and then deliver things again. The pause is important because when you look at the recording, it'll allow you that sort of space to be able to edit things properly.
Brilliant tips, brilliant tips. And the other one I try to encourage people to do is, even if you've messed up a recording and you're going to do it again, I think it's good to try and push on through, do the whole thing. Otherwise, you end up perfecting the first couple of minutes, and then, oh no, now I've got to perfect the next couple of minutes. But if you push on through, do it all, and then you go, okay, well, I didn't do very well that time, but I'll do it all again. But I've at least gone through everything, and I've got an idea where I might stumble next time.
Yeah, get some momentum down. Get some momentum down.
Yeah, yeah. Goodness me, we
All right,
didn't even know we were going. We didn't even know we were going to go down that whole avenue there. But
we've
it's
got a little bit off piece, but we'll rate. It's all part, but it's all part of the digital framework these days, right?
absolutely. And funny, if you, I think you mentioned sort of like you briefly touched on brand awareness in part of your last part of your comment there, and I know that's quite a big thing that you, like I said, you'd like to have a bit of a chat about as part of this.
Before we jump onto brand my bugbear brand awareness. What one just want to add in about video, right, is that certainly with the latest update of Google and the whole SEO realm, video is becoming a lot more important. So not only should you think more about including more video, especially on your website, but what video does that text doesn't is it adds dwell time to people being on your website. So one of the parameters that the search engines look for is how long do people stay on certain websites for? And if you've got a video embedded into your website, then you're almost guaranteed that by people watching it, they're up in there. It's called dwell time, the amount of time that they're on your website for, and that gives you extra ticks in the boxes with Google too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't resist but throwing these things out there.
No, it's really good, really good. The more things you want to throw into the conversation, the merrier. So
let's talk about brand awareness. Okay. Yeah. Now, Rob, I know you're prodding me slightly because it's one of my big bugbears. I get to meet with a lot of people, and this is a catch-all terminology that digital marketers use when actually they've delivered very little for you when you spent a lot of money. When you are Nike, Adidas, right, sports companies, when you're Unilever, when you're very large brands, Amazon, right, then spending some of your millions and billions of marketing money on just raising awareness about your brand adds to the mix. Okay. When you're MilesMarketing, right, or when you're Red Knight Solutions, and like lots of SMEs out there, when your marketing spend is very precious, spending time and money on creating awareness, which is which translates into nothing, bullshit, right? It is a complete waste of your time. In my opinion, what you want to be trying to do always is to drive some engagement with your brand. Just because someone might have seen it for a split second on a feed, and that will be a metric that some digital marketers will say, oh, but we had 10,000 impressions, and that means that you've had brand awareness. Well, you tell me, Rob, you scroll through Instagram, you scroll through your feed with LinkedIn, you're leaving these impressions, but have you really absorbed a brand? Have you sort of stopped and thought, oh, I need that product? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
So what I would always encourage with small brands is get noticed, get involved. when people interact with you, that's when they become more familiar. That's when they're much more likely to engage with you and do business, which is what we want.
Yeah.
And what I think people should be doing is trying to map out their customer journey and their interactions. So, and think about them being meaningful and not passive. So when you engage with someone on social media and you follow them, so let's use LinkedIn as an example. If you go to someone's LinkedIn profile, there's a little bell icon now in the
Yeah.
header. If you click on that bell, it's a bell for notifications, just like you get on YouTube. And then every time that person posts, you get notified. So if you're really interested in engaging with this particular person or brand on LinkedIn, then getting notified when they post, you can look at that post very soon after they post it and consider whether or not you want to engage with it and support it, is what I would say. So I'm not saying you should like and comment on every single thing that person does, but if you've got something to add, right, then make a meaningful comment. And you're starting to get that engagement, right? This is not about just that person being aware of you. This is about you actually starting a conversation and being part of a community.
Yeah, totally agree. And as you say, that's where you start engaging. And then once you feel like you've engaged, you can maybe send that connection request with a little bit of a comment around the fact you saw their post and it resonated with you. That sort of thing.
Rob, look, I'm going to say, I don't know whether or not this is for adult ears, this particular podcast, or whether there be little ears listening to it. But, it's a little bit like going out on a date and, grabbing hold of their bits before you've sort of asked them their name and sat down and had a nice little drink and a conversation. It's rude.
Yeah.
And people get confused between real life and the internet and all things digital, right?
Yeah.
And what I would, and this, I'm getting on the, I'm
No,
sort
no,
of
feel free to get on the high horse.
I'm getting on the high horse, right? But here's a strategy that I think you should use on LinkedIn specifically if you want to engage with people, if you want to pick targets, if you like, right? Please don't send them a DM straight after a connection request, right? Ramming your products down their throat. Ring the little bell, start to like and comment on their posts, and just do this for an extended period of time until they start to sort of, strike a rapport with you. 9 times out of 10, they will ask you for a connection request, right? There starts to form a different dynamic here. How flattered would you be if someone left a comment today, Rob, about your lovely shirt?
Yeah. Oh, right? Very flattered. Yeah.
You would be, oh, that's nice. Someone's left a lovely comment about my shirt. You're going to remember who that person was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then the next time they comment about whatever it may be and you start to get an interaction, you may be like, hang about, this person knows their onions. The next time I need to buy some onions, I'm going to think of that person.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And particularly about that whole connect DM with a pitch. I don't know if it's a term that everyone uses, but a few people that I know refer to that as a pitch slap, and it's just a really bad thing to do.
Oh, I had one this morning. Dear Miles, I see that we've got a few connections in common. Would love to connect to get to know you better. All right. So I accepted their request and I emailed back and said, thank you for your connection request, but I sense a sales pitch is coming, ? Right. I can almost guarantee I will never hear from that person again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people say it works. And, the numbers don't lie. right? If you send out 10,000 messages, you will get some success with some people, right? What I would say, Rob, is what's the quality that you're getting from that? In my opinion, you're preying on the weak and the vulnerable with that type of approach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And in my opinion, that's not the way to go about your business.
No, no, do you know what? I completely agree with you. And I've often just sit there and think, why do you think that's actually going to work with anybody, let alone the weak and the vulnerable? You know, it's certainly on. It just sits to me and go, surely nobody does that. You know, thanks for
But
connect. Whack. Here's the thing.
they, they do.
Yeah,
They do. And it's generally, you see, it's people that are desperate, that
yeah,
perhaps their business is struggling and they're really reaching for any straw they can,
yeah.
right? And that's where I think it's not part of my value set, right?
No, no, I agree with you. And I suppose linked to that, it'd be interesting to have a little bit of discussion again. We haven't really planned this, but I know there's some people that use third-party automation tools, sort of like to automate connection requests and things like that. Do you advocate that sort of thing at all? I'm guessing maybe not from what we just said, but
Um,
maybe it's still part. Yeah, there's a
so
part in some strategies where it works, but
look, it it really depends what your objective is, right? If you want to have the most connections on LinkedIn that you're not connected with and don't know you and won't interact with your posts, then knock yourself out.
yeah,
Right? Um, what I and they'll take your money, believe me, right? And you can spend quite a lot of money on this. I think that through just a little bit of time and effort and without Sales Navigator, you can actually find your key targets yourself,
yeah.
right?
No,
And you can adopt this philosophy of not connecting with them and interacting on their posts and building relationships there, because I think what's important to remember, it's not all about that particular target. What's really nice about LinkedIn is that your bio, right, it goes everywhere with you.
yeah.
So when you do make a meaningful comment, it's not just your intended target, the post maker, that gets to see it. It's the other people that are commenting on that post too.
Yeah.
And then it's their connections when they comment on the post, they also get to see it. It's a really clever way to get your name out there.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, as we sort of gone down that a little bit, um, it, it, people don't realise that that with that mechanism, obviously the two things that go with it when you make a comment onto somebody's post are your profile picture and your headline. So do you have any sort of, as part of the kind of like the work you do when you're working with clients, do you have any advice on what's best to do with those two bits of digital real estate on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I do. I can't help but give away the secrets now, you see, Rob. Um, so first of all, listeners, I'm really sorry to break this news to you, but there's no such thing as a new idea, right? All the ideas have already been thought of, and what we should do is plagiarize what other people do and just make things better, right?
Yeah,
So the first of all, the headshot, the picture. What should the picture be? Should it be a professional headshot or should it be something a little bit more casual? Now, I'm going to say that's down to you, right? You may have a relaxed approach towards your business, and having a bit more of a relaxed photograph of you could work, right, for you. I would say the vast majority of people need a professional headshot. That doesn't mean to say you've paid money to get it shot professionally, but plain background, nothing but your head, as it were. I'm going to say this now, Rob, and I do need to do something about it, but my headshot was taken 6 or 7 years ago now, maybe a couple more years, maybe 8 years ago, if I think hard about it. I'm probably due a new one because maybe when people see me, they think I'm catfishing them, right? Yeah.
Uh,
So,
I know what you mean. I've put on a few pounds since my last headshot. I
yeah,
still didn't have any hair, so it does
yeah.
pretty much look like me.
Well, yeah, I posted the other day actually that I must have put a grey filter on a particular photo because I was looking particularly grey at that time. But so yeah, so use an up-to-date photo. For it not to be like the holiday photo type thing. Try and get it on a plain background if you can. Now, as far as the words that go with you, I think it's referred to as a headline.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is
Yeah.
these days. Yeah.
It goes everywhere with you. Sometimes you will see it say, visit my website or visit my blog. There's like a little hyperlink sometimes underneath people's names. And that's only for people that pay for premium. Premium members, you're able to put a little hyperlink that will take you to a call of action, if you like. But generally speaking, you get this, I'm going to say, maybe it's 100 characters or so. It's not that many words, but please don't waste it by putting in like managing director or business owner. Try and put in there something around the solutions, right, that you provide within your business. Yeah. I'm trying frantically to remember what it is that I put on mine. Let me have a look. So on my LinkedIn, I've currently got outsourced marketing, and I've actually used some emojis. There we go.
Mhm.
There's something that people asked. Can you use emojis? I'm going to say yes, because
Yeah. I
as long as they're relevant, they actually make your headline stand out slightly.
yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right, and I think mine might be lacking, or I might have tweaked it recently and put some in, but I'm not sure. Not going to swear to that.
Yeah, I mean, mine says I've got a couple of little chart emojis and money emojis, outsourced marketing, the 90-minute marketing plan for SMEs, and then a swag bag,
Yeah.
right? So it's very descriptive about what I do. Would you like me, Rob, to see what yours
Go
says?
on then. Go on. Tell me how bad it
Right.
is.
I'm not going to tell you about how bad it is because I'm not about sort of shaming people.
I've got a feeling it might say something horrible like digital marketing guru or something, which is a word I don't like.
Let's have a look. It says helping businesses and coaches grow their visibility, credibility. I'm guessing it then says online. It's like dot dot dot.
Yeah,
They're
something like that.
helping businesses and coaches grow their visibility, credibility, and profits through digital marketing, social media, web, SEO, video, content creation, AdSmart from Sky TV.
Oh, there you go. That's not too bad.
Pretty
Reasonable,
good.
reasonable summary.
I think what's important to note, Rob, is that not all of that
Yeah.
piece of text is visible straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you
Right?
said, there was that dot, dot, dot there. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting one to look back at.
Yeah. So at the moment, in your bio specifically, it says helping businesses and coaches grow their visibility, comma, credibility. It doesn't even finish the word credibility.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I still don't know what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
From that little bit. I know you help businesses and coaches grow their visibility, but there's nothing else descriptive. So look,
No, no, that's good. I've got some homework to go and look at that.
so all I'd be encouraging your listeners to do is to just play around with it. Like you can update it. People don't get notified when you've changed your bits and bobs anymore. So update it and then go and see how it looks. That's very much as well about, the headline banner that you put on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and your little face. Like depending on how people view it, that sort of moves about.
Mm.
And I see a lot of people, they put text on the left-hand side of their banner, but everyone's head covers that piece up anyway.
Yeah.
So just be aware of positioning when you're sort of doing these things.
Yeah, really, really good tips. And also check it out both on a desktop PC and on a mobile, because
And on a mobile. Yep.
yeah, because you'll see they'll come across differently.
And
Nice, that's really good. Um, I'm really conscious that actually we've been chatting for quite a long time. We've got loads of stuff that we share, which is brilliant. But we probably ought to kind of head towards the end of our conversation, because yeah, I mean, although we could chat all day from the sound of it, so, because it's been a really good conversation. So a couple of things well, there's three things I normally do. Is one is ask about a really successful post. Now you mentioned one that you'd actually helped a client produce. So do you want to just tell a little bit about that, and then we'll ask my two standard questions about good and bad tips.
Okay, so I manage LinkedIn profiles specifically for a couple of my customers. This was one of my customers who is an industrial powder coating company, right? Now, they're looking at a business-to-business relationship, and we use LinkedIn predominantly as their communication method. And we post lovely photos of things getting sprayed and painted and all that sort of jazz. However, every now and again, when the owner gets a bee in his bonnet, we write a rant. And this particular rant was about, can't remember what it was about now. It was probably about quality of service or
Staff retention. It was.
Oh, sorry, that's right.
Yeah.
It was it was about 18 months ago, actually. It was about staff retention. And it was we were posing the question, was it about education and the fact that there wasn't enough training courses coming in with apprenticeships within the industry? Was it down to them as a business not being able to retain their staff because they weren't offering good enough packages? Was it about attitude of a new generation? Was it about Brexit? And so on and so forth. Now, managing this particular post was hard work because, as we know, there's a golden hour and a half when you post on LinkedIn that you should be replying to comments and being interactive. And you've got the stats in front of you there, Rob, but there were hundreds of comments and hundreds of likes.
Yeah.
Ended up in something like 85,000 impressions, which is the amount of eyeballs that got to see it. And we struck on a chord that resonated with other people. And we had people from all around the world making comment. And the conclusion was that it wasn't one thing. It was a perfect storm, if you like. It was the attitude of a generation who didn't want to put in a hard day's work. They wanted to be OnlyFans stars or internet sensations or whatever. It wasn't just Brexit, although that did make a difference because people in Australia, people in Canada were experiencing the same things. Predominantly, they all did cite that it was a lack of investment in the next generation and teaching people skills.
Yeah, yeah. I was saying, you mentioned about being all around the world. I'd be a liar if I said I had read all of the comments there, but I did read quite a few, and I could see there's people from Canada, Australia, America, all around the world. But it's it's a British-based company, so
Yeah.
it was a really interesting how, as you say, you just hit the right chord or the right note at the right time, and it just resonated with everyone.
And this is the nice thing, Rob, about LinkedIn, specifically LinkedIn and the way in which it works, right? You don't get this on Instagram and the other and Facebook and the other platforms. It was because somebody had made a comment, then their connections got to see that post with that comment. And because they were in the same industry, those people felt like they had to comment, but perhaps they weren't connected to my client.
Yeah.
So it was a second connection, and the second connection comments. And when second connections comment on your LinkedIn post, the algorithm really takes notice and says, oh, people that don't even know this person are now commenting, and it starts to show it to more and more people. And then you get to third connections, which is 3 steps away from you. And when it sees that, it really does open things up. So I would just say to all of your listeners, just, make sure that you're active on the platform. Make sure you respond to people quickly. Make sure that you like them and make a meaningful comment that
Yeah.
drives a conversation. Ask questions, draw people in.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant. Absolutely, brilliant. And it's a great example. And I will do my utmost to make sure I include the link to it. Certainly on my website where I include the links for your content as well. Yeah, so moving on towards the wrap up, I always ask my guests if they could give one good tip for our viewers and listeners about something good to do regularly on digital marketing, and then after that, one just don't do that, a bad thing sort of thing. So what would you say your good tip is?
Right. Okay. So I'm trying to be practical here now. My good tip is that you already know them. So this is about your current customers and your past customers and people that you come into contact with. Make sure that you communicate with them regularly and often. Email marketing, some people will say it's dead. It's a really useful point of contact. Keep talking to your database on a regular basis, because it's a lot easier than trying to find new people that don't know you.
Yeah, excellent. Do you know what? And it's good you mentioned email marketing, because I agree with you. It's a great tool. I don't think it's a good tool for cold email marketing. I get fed up with people trying to tell me I need to update my website every day. But as you say, regular contact with your current customers and past customers, brilliant for that. So, and finally, what would you say is your one sort of thing not to do?
Okay. Don't go spending money on digital advertising before you've put a foundation to manage those leads that are going to come in from it. People rush out. They're so eager to spend their money on Facebook ads and Google. And, I'm not saying you shouldn't, right? It's a very good way of getting leads. But if your website is not sorted out, if your landing pages aren't spot on, if you haven't got a CRM to bring that data and manage it properly, you're basically pissing in the wind, right? So do the fundamentals first. Make sure you've got a good CRM system in place. Make sure that you've got some automations going. Make sure that you've got your landing pages all on point, so that when you place that ad, people come to a landing page, you convert them with a call to action, they get their data's inputted into your CRM straight away, and then you can start the communication and hopefully sort of get the business without, like anything, right? The house don't get built without the foundations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, perfect, absolutely perfect. And linked to don't spend money on, I'm just going to add on Facebook, don't boost posts.
and you know what? I I sometimes have to sort of check myself, because I tend to spend a lot of my time telling people not to do certain things. Like, all of these things have their place, right? But there's a way of doing everything,
Yeah,
and there's a way of doing things badly. And I, I have more conversations with people that say they tried something and it didn't work, and then they're completely against it, when actually it was never going to work.
yeah, yeah.
All right, because they haven't done it properly.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right there as well. So, obviously, you've shared loads and loads of good advice. So I'm sure our viewers and listeners are going to want to get in contact with you. I will put all your, I will put all your links on there. But what is the best way for them to reach out and get in contact with you, Miles?
Look, any way that they want to. You can, fill in the contact form on my website. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. There's no hard sell with me at all. I absolutely would have a conversation with anyone about their marketing. The conversation is always free. I'm pretty sure you can find my mobile number somewhere as well, and you can send me a inappropriate GIF if you fancy to start off our conversation.
Oh, brilliant. Right. Well, it'll be interesting to find out how many people take you up on that offer. So just remains me to say thank you so much for spending time with us today. I've really enjoyed our conversation. You shared so much. Yeah, I will, yeah, just brilliant. Thank you so very much.
Rob, look, thank you for having me. And in all seriousness, I think what's really important for your listeners and viewers to take away from this is use a professional when it comes to your digital services. You know, please consult people whose jobs it is to make sure these things work for you, and that you've got the right foundations in place, because yeah, we don't want you to waste your money. We want you to enjoy your sort of your marketing experience, if you like.
Fantastic. Great advice right up to the end. So thank you very much. Brilliant.
You're